Hello, Barcelona family. Feel free to like and subscribe to the channel to know everything about Barcelona. In this video, we have a huge revelation concerning Barcelona, but before that, we need to discuss some very important topics about our beloved club. Let's move to the first one. Barcelona finds itself once again at a crossroads that could define the direction of the team for the coming years. According to various reports from national and international media, the sports management has decided to set a price on one of the greatest talents to come out of the academy in recent years, Fermin Lopez. An amount of around €75 million has been set as a starting point for negotiations with clubs interested in his transfer, among which Inter Milan, Borussia Dortmund, and Manchester United stand out strongly. An amount that reflects the increasing value of the player but at the same time generates deep discontent among the Blaugrana supporters, who watch in astonishment as one of their most promising footballers could leave the club in the middle of a consolidation phase. Fermin is not just another product of the academy. He is the living reflection of everything that has historically distinguished Barcelona from other major European clubs: a football of touch, tactical intelligence, courage to take on responsibilities, and comprehensive training that combines natural talent with a deep understanding of positional play. Fermin is the kind of player who understands what the game needs before receiving the ball, who knows how to turn in tight spaces, who arrives from the second line with danger, and who, above all, plays with heart. He has been a breath of fresh air amid so many institutional and sporting uncertainties, a ray of hope for supporters who needed to cling to their young promises to continue believing in the project. It is no coincidence that clubs like Borussia Dortmund, accustomed to developing young talents into world-renowned stars, have initiated advanced conversations with the player's entourage, as revealed by the prestigious German portal Bild, which even suggests that the Germans would be willing to go up to €70 million to secure the services of the Andalusian player. It is also no surprise that giants like Inter or Manchester United are joining the bid. Everyone knows that Fermin has what it takes to mark an era, everyone except those who should protect his continuity at the club that trained him. Joan Laporta and the board of directors have indicated that economic balance remains a priority, and it cannot be denied that the club's financial situation still requires operations to alleviate budgetary tensions. But is it really necessary to resort to selling an emerging talent like Fermin? Are there no other alternatives before touching what is most sacred in the institution, namely its academy? The supporters have already experienced similar situations in the recent past, seeing how other homegrown youngsters were sold before reaching their full potential, only to see them shine with other jerseys on the big European stages, and this wound, far from healing, remains open. The most serious thing is that this possible departure does not respond to a sporting criterion, because if one thing is clear, it is that Hansi Flick, the new first-team coach, counts on Fermin Lopez. He considers him a key player within the new project he intends to build based on discipline, intensity, and technique. Fermin embodies all of that. He is a modern footballer capable of adapting to multiple roles in midfield, with physical deployment, a goal, a vision of the game, a player who has already made the leap to the Spanish national team, demonstrating that he can compete without complexes against any opponent. The departure of a profile like his can only be justified by short-term economic considerations. From an emotional point of view, losing Fermin would be a very hard blow. His connection with the supporters is unique. He is a homegrown player who arrived at the club as a child, who has overcome all kinds of obstacles, who has grown under the Blaugrana shield, and who has demonstrated in every match an exemplary commitment. Seeing him run, fight, score, celebrate, is seeing the soul of Barcelona reflected on the field. There is no million-dollar recruitment that can match that. Fermin is not bought, he is trained, cared for, believed in, and selling him now, just as he is beginning to exploit all his potential, would be betraying the philosophy that has brought us so many titles and joys. Many Kules wonder, is this amount worth giving up a footballer who could lead the team's midfield for the next decade? Because we are not talking about a player who needs adaptation time or who comes from another environment. Fermin is already ready. He has shown that he has the level and has done so with the hunger of someone who knows he is part of something bigger, a hunger so valued when recruiting outside promises, but which seems not to be appreciated when it comes from within. Furthermore, parting with Fermin is not only a mistake from a logical sporting or emotional point of view, it is a strategic mistake. Barcelona needs to build a solid project based on firm foundations, and nothing is firmer than a homegrown player who understands the club from within. Investing in homegrown youth is a long-term investment, not only for what they can bring on the field, but also because they represent a huge saving compared to the costs involved in recruiting external talents. Selling Fermin to then look for a replacement in the market, who will hardly have his connection with the club and his level of involvement, is nonsensical. And let's not forget another fundamental aspect, the message that is conveyed. What are we telling the children and young people who train today in the lower categories and see that even when you do everything right, when you reach the first team and perform, you can be sold to the highest bidder? What incentive do they have to continue dreaming of triumphing in the first team? That is why, from this humble CUEL platform, we raise our voice. We cannot allow decisions like this to be made without considering the feelings of the supporters who have suffered, who have held on, and who have continued to believe even when everything seemed to be collapsing. Fermin Lopez represents the future of the club. He is not negotiable. He cannot be a bargaining chip or a quick solution to structural problems. There are other ways to face difficulties, but parting with what has been best formed in recent years is not one of them. And you, the CUELs, what do you think? Are we really ready to see Fermin leave without raising our voices? Are we going to allow one of our own, a true CUEL, to leave without having reached his peak with us? If something has made Barcelona great throughout its history, it is its ability to build unforgettable teams from the ground up, from the talent that is born and grows at home. The second piece of news concerns an important decision in our beloved club. As a CUEL, there are decisions that, while not at the center of media attention or sparking passionate debates, must be understood as necessary steps to free ourselves from burdens and, above all, to clarify a sports project that is still under reconstruction. The situation with Clement Lenglet fits perfectly into this category. His loan to Atletico de Madrid has so far been a logical outcome to a stage that never really came to fruition, and his possible permanent transfer to the Rojiblanco club can only be seen as good news for Barcelona. That's why, from my perspective as a Blaugrana supporter, I am totally in favor of Lenglet staying at Atletico, not only because he no longer has a place in our team, but also because his definitive departure would free up salary space and energy that the club needs to invest in new faces called to lead our future. Clement Lenglet's time at Barcelona has been a story of ups and downs, with a promising start that faded as the demands of the environment, individual mistakes, and poor collective dynamics pushed him into a secondary role. His career at our club has not lacked professionalism, that's clear. He has always been a committed, respectful player with a good attitude. But elite football is not just about attitudes but also about performance, and Lenglet, despite all his efforts, has failed to regain trust or show the expected solidity in key moments. The result, one loan after another that only confirmed the obvious: his cycle as a Blaugrana player ended a long time ago. Now, Atletico de Madrid has shown real and concrete interest in securing his services permanently. We are not talking about baseless rumors but about a context with advanced conversations, with a clear willingness from the player to stay there, with a clear intention from the Colchonero club to count on him for their next participation in the Club World Cup, and with a Barcelona that looks favorably on freeing up a salary that no longer fits the sports or economic planning. What is needed is to conclude the deal swiftly and without looking back. The financial reality of Barcelona remains extremely delicate. There is no room to keep players in the squad, or even on the payroll, who are not counted on by the technical staff and who represent an obstacle to the registration of reinforcements. Today, every move counts, and even more so if it involves getting rid of heavy salaries like Lenglet's. In this sense, the definitive departure of the French central defender would represent significant relief. Perhaps we will not get a high amount for his transfer. It is already being said that the initially desired 10 million could be reduced, but the real benefit would lie in the savings represented by not having to face his salary. Deco, the sports director, knows this well. A new cycle cannot be built without making firm decisions, even if some of them involve saying goodbye to players who, at one point, seemed like solid bets. What really matters is preparing the ground for a more adjusted squad, more focused on the future, and less tied to inherited contracts that no longer make sense in the current structure. In this case, Lenglet is part of the past that we must leave behind with serenity and firmness. On the other hand, there is the desire of the player himself. Lenglet has not hidden his intention to stay at Atletico. There, he has found a favorable environment, playing time, stability, and a club that counts on him. He has even shown himself willing to reduce his salary and sign for several years, which demonstrates a level of commitment that must be recognized. If the player wants to leave, if the destination club wants him, and if we need him to leave, there is no reason to delay the operation or look for excuses. Everything fits together. Some will say that we could have expected more from Lenglet, that he perhaps deserved another opportunity, or that we could have gotten more money for him, but experience has taught us that keeping players who are not counted on, simply to seek an impossible amount, only worsens the situation. It is time to act with pragmatism and think about what truly helps the club. Furthermore, we must consider the context of urgency that exists in the planning for the upcoming season. There are important operations underway, incorporations that need registration, strategic renewals that cannot be delayed, and every salary freed, every file eliminated counts as one more small step towards the financial normalcy we so desperately need. We cannot afford to waste time or energy on operations that should be easily resolved. That's why I strongly support this departure. Lenglet has the door open to stay at Atletico, where he seems to have integrated better than in his last years here. His loan has been functional in that it has kept him active, visible, and competitive, but his role at Barcelona no longer exists, and the sooner his definitive farewell is officialized, the better it will be for everyone. We should not dramatize or magnify his departure, nor seek nostalgias that do not exist. A cycle is closing, a cycle that was never what we hoped for, but which also leaves lessons. Not all recruitment succeed, and knowing how to cut ties in time is as important as knowing how to recruit. What I want now is to convey this reflection to all the Kuhl supporters. What do you think? Do you believe we should make an effort to retain Lenglet when he has already shown he does not have a place in the team? Is it really useful to keep a player in the squad who is not even in the coach's plans? Isn't it more sensible to free up that salary and focus our attention on other more urgent priorities? As a Kuhl, I want to see a more agile club, more coherent, less tied to past commitments, and more committed to the sporting reality we must face. And this involves, among other things, letting players like Lenglet go without drama, without sentimentalism, and without hesitation, because to build a solid future, the first thing to do is to have clean foundations free from the mistakes of the past. He wins because he finds stability, Atletico wins because they add a committed player, and we win because we free up salary space and close a chapter that was already finished. I hope this operation concludes soon and well, and I hope we can continue to move forward in the market with the clarity of ideas that this departure represents. Now, it's your turn, the Kuhls. What do you think about this operation? Do you agree that Lenglet should stay definitively at Atletico de Madrid? Don't you think it's the best for all parties? Or do you think we should have sought a different alternative? I'm reading you. The third piece of news concerns an imminent recruitment for Barcelona. The club's institutional machinery has been set in motion with a clear mission: to finalize the recruitment of one of the most coveted young talents in European football. Joan Laporta, who has demonstrated himself to be a bold and visionary strategist in the boardroom, is moving firmly to secure the services of Nico Paz, the talented Argentine offensive midfielder who has dazzled this season in Italy's Serie A. At just 19 years old, Nico has earned praise across Italy and the rest of the continent thanks to his technical quality, vision, and maturity beyond his years. According to the specialized media outlet Calcio Football, the agreement for the footballer to wear the Blaugrana jersey for the next 6 seasons is on the verge of being finalized. Undoubtedly, this move could mark a before and after in the Kuhl sports project. The operation, which has generated enormous anticipation in the sports media, is much more than a simple recruitment. Several highly relevant factors converge in this deal. On one hand, we are talking about a footballer who has demonstrated exceptional performances in one of the most competitive and demanding leagues on the planet. In Serie A, Nico Paz has been a standout in multiple matches, displaying class and determination worthy of a veteran. Not only has he been key in creating plays, but he has also contributed goals and assists that place him among the most promising young talents on the old continent. All this in an adverse context, in a league where tactical rigor and physical demand reign, which speaks highly of his adaptability and mental strength. On the other hand, the operation also carries a very powerful symbolic charge. Despite having had links with Real Madrid in previous stages, Nico has clearly indicated that he does not wish to return to the Casablanca. The club of Florentino does not have decision-making power over his current situation, as the player's rights fully belong to his Italian club, and the Argentine has categorically expressed his desire to join Barcelona's project. This brave and meaningful gesture demonstrates that the young man is not only thinking about his sporting progression, but also about the type of club and environment in which he wishes to establish himself as a global figure. For Joan Laporta and the club's sports management, this potential incorporation is not just about meeting an immediate need, but is part of a medium and long-term strategy. Barcelona, in this new phase, seeks to build a competitive, young, ambitious team with a recognizable footballing identity, and in this context, Nico Paz fits perfectly. His recruitment would not only be an excellent sporting investment, but also a clear signal that the club is regaining its appeal, even in the face of European giants with greater economic power. Becoming a desired destination for emerging global football talents is a priority, and the fact that a player of Nico's caliber, with offers from other major clubs, has chosen Barcelona is undoubtedly news that should fill us with pride. Hansi Flick, the new coach, has already given his approval for the recruitment. The German, known for his ability to work with young talents and his tactical rigor, believes that Nico can play an important role in his system. His offensive vision, ability to find spaces between the lines, and precision in passing make him a very valuable resource for any coach. Flick believes that, with work, the Argentine can become a key player in the team's offensive machinery and has no doubt that his progression will be meteoric if he receives continuity and trust. From a Actu perspective, we can only celebrate this initiative by the management. In an era where the market is filled with inflated operations and bloated recruitments, betting on young players with real projection and a desire to succeed is the right path. Nico Paz is not a random bet. He is a proven footballer in a major league who has also shown personality in key moments. His performances have been consistent, his attitude professional, and his evolution constant. All this at 19 years old is an opportunity that cannot be missed. Furthermore, this recruitment could open new doors from an institutional and commercial point of view. Having a promising young Argentine player in the first team would strengthen the club's already significant connection with the Latin American market, particularly with Argentina, a country that lives football with a passion that aligns perfectly with the Barcelona spirit. Nico can become not only a sporting reference but also a global ambassador for the Blaugrana project. However, it must be acknowledged that concluding this type of operation is not simple. Although the positions are very close and the player's entourage views the Actu proposal favorably, there are still contractual details to be resolved. We are talking about a contract until 2031 with conditions commensurate with his projection, but within the salary parameters that the club wishes to maintain in this phase of financial rationalization. There is also consideration of including variable clauses linked to performance and sporting objectives. Everything is being managed with discretion but with firmness, as has been customary in Laporta's major maneuvers. What is clear is that Nico Paz wants to wear the Blaugrana jersey. His entourage has confirmed this, and he himself, in recent statements, has hinted that he is looking for a project where he will be valued, where he will have a leading role, and where he can grow with stability. And today, only Barcelona can offer him that project. Because beyond titles and millions, this club offers an identity, a philosophy, and a history that few can match. As a Actu, it moves me to think that a talent like his could be part of our present and, above all, our future. Because modern football is no longer won just with big names but with players who believe in what they do, who feel the shield, and who are ready to give their all for these colors. Nico Paz, for all he has shown, seems to be one of those players. And I pose the question to all Blaugrana supporters: what do you think of this operation? Does the possible arrival of Nico Paz at Camp Nou excite you? Do you think he could be one of the pillars of the team in the coming years? Personally, I believe that this would not only be a great sporting success but also a powerful message to the football world. Barcelona is back, with its head held high, humility, and decisions that build. If the agreement is finally concluded, it will be a clear signal that we are finding our way again, a path of excellence, ambition, and identity. I hope that in the coming days, the agreement will be officialized and that we can welcome Nico as one of our own, because in a club like this, what matters is not where you come from, but where you want to go. And he indicates that he wants to reach the top with us, with Barcelona. Leave us your opinion in the comments.